Hola a todos, buenos días o buenas tardes, según corresponda. Es buenos días aquí en México y en otros países es buenas tardes. ¿Me escuchan bien? Sí. Bueno, hoy tenemos el tercer webinar de la serie de webinars de la Sociedad Panamericana de Investigación en Transporte y Logística. Y estamos pues muy felices de tener ahora dos trabajos que se presentarán que son sobre un tema muy importante, es sobre discapacidad y sobre equidad en el transporte. Tenemos estas dos presentaciones que se van a desarrollar como sigue. Primero se hará una presentación de unos 25 minutos aproximadamente. Posteriormente siguen las preguntas para los presentadores y, bueno, o los autores que estarán aquí disponibles para cualquier, para resolver cualquier duda. Y posteriormente seguirá el segundo trabajo, las preguntas sobre ese segundo trabajo y después preguntas también generales para cualquiera de los dos trabajos y discusión general entre todos los asistentes con respecto a estos dos muy interesantes temas. Bueno, entonces ahora el primer trabajo es clasificación de los problemas de accesibilidad en las aceras a partir de la percepción de los peatones con discapacidad en la ciudad de Santa María, Brasil. Los autores son Ana Paula Suárez Müller, Alejandro Ruiz Padillo, Vanessa Goulart Dorneles. Va a presentar a Ana Paula Suárez Müller. Por favor, Ana Paula, ¿puedes compartir? Ana Paula, no se escucha. Sí, ¿puedes abrir tu micrófono, por favor? No, ya. Ana Paula,
Olá,
ahora sí,
agora
así
foi, né?
ya. Muy bien, gracias. Adelante, por favor.
Certo. Então, boa tarde. Good afternoon. I will be presenting in English since I don't have a high ability in Spanish, so I'll be presenting in English. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity, for the invitation. It's really an honor to be here. So our paper is titled Classification of Sidewalk Accessibility. Just over here. Classification of sidewalk accessibility problems as perceived by pedestrians with disabilities in Santa Maria, here in Brazil. So, to start, as we all know, sidewalks accessibility is an indispensable feature, indispensable characteristic to everyday urban life, to mobility around the cities. And to enable independent, safe, comfortable mobility for all pedestrians is a basic characteristic as well in the urban environment. Here in Brazil, I believe similarly to other Latin American contexts, urban planning and investments generally prioritize motor vehicles. So cars and motor vehicles and not really pedestrians, not frequently a priority here. So sidewalks frequently lack adequate conditions, representing many times even a hostile environment for pedestrians. Also, considering Brazilian context, we can say that people with disabilities are often neglected in sidewalks design. They are not usually considered, the perception is not usually considered on sidewalk planning and design. And besides that, research focusing on this target group, on people with disabilities, is still a bit scarce and a bit incomplete. It's not really, doesn't really doesn't really include many types of disability or other broader amount of people with disabilities on these researches, especially when you consider, as I said, Brazilian context, Latin American context. So also as introduction here, I think it's relevant to mention that this paper that we are presenting today is part of my master's dissertation, as is a few other papers similar from the same research that we have been developing. And a couple of them were already previously published, and they are all part of the same research. So first, we have the sidewalk assessment from the perspective of accessibility, a systematic literature review, which was published in an ASSE journal. And it was, as the title says, a systematic literature review that supports the research that brought us with the major theoretical support for the following research. And recently we have a paper published at Transportation Research Part D, called Fuzzy Geostatistical Evaluation of Microscale Attributes of Sidewalk Accessibility, a Brazilian case. And also complements this one as this paper that we presented at Panam and we are here presenting today. It brings the perception of the participants, of people with physical and hearing and visual disabilities. This other part of the research that we already published brings the physical evaluation of sidewalk characteristics. So they all come together to this research, to the full research we have been working since my master's degree. So the main objective here was to classify sidewalks and crosswalks here in Santa Maria, in downtown Santa Maria, which is located in the south of Brazil, based on the perceived accessibility by people with physical, visual, or hearing disabilities. So we try to understand how people with different types of disability understand accessibility conditions on sidewalks and crosswalks here in the city. To get to this main objective, we had a couple of specific objectives as well. So first was to identify the level of impairment caused by accessibility problems and obstacles through a questionnaire and the application of a multi-criterion decision method. We use the SMART method within the questionnaire to identify this level of impairment. And also we aimed to indicate the most relevant problems and obstacles which deserve attention of local stakeholders, of local researchers, aiming, right, in order to promote the pedestrian mobility and more accessible pedestrian mobility for all pedestrians here in the city. So going to the methodology part, first from the paper published at ASSE journal, we have a background outlining for the research. We have here the research questions, the main, where our research comes from. So first to begin with these questions, which contexts are sidewalk assessment carried out? Which aspects and elements are usually considered in the evaluation, especially considering physical aspects and microscale aspects? And if people with disability, as well as the perception of such people, is or are not included in the researches in this area. Following, thinking on getting the perceived accessibility of the participants, the people with disabilities, we developed then a questionnaire. It was an online questionnaire through Google Forms, where the participations were invited to participate voluntarily and anonymously. And it was open to be answered by people with visual, physical, and hearing disabilities. So we try to include the 3 types of disabilities. And the questionnaire had 2 main parts. So the first part was to understand a bit of the profiles of the respondents and their general perceptions. So age, type of disability, and general perceptions regarding how they feel when moving through the sidewalks, regarding safety, independency, comfort. We'll see more following on the results. And this first part was characterized by multiple choice answer options. And then we have a second part with specific problems and obstacles, where we use the Likert scale option of response to classify the degree of impediment perceived by the respondents. And then in the second part, we addressed both sidewalks and crosswalks, specific problems and obstacles, considering micro-scale problems and obstacles. Here to contextualize a little better, we have the location of Santa Maria. Let me just activate here the pointer here. So in the south of Brazil, as we can see here, and in the Rio Grande do Sul state, in the center of the state, we have Santa Maria city. And Santa Maria has a quite large perimeter here, but the center, the urbanized area is a bit smaller. And in the heart of the city here, in the center, we have the downtown area where the area that we consider for the study. The third step here in the methodology, after the outlining research questions and the development of the questionnaire, we then came with the multi-criterion decision method. So we applied the SMART technique as the complete name, Simple Multi-Attribute Rating Technique. So we chose the SMART technique for being widely used and being quite simple to apply. And within the SMART technique, we were able to define the importance of the different problems and obstacles that we were addressing, assigning relative weights to each problem analyzed. So we were able to compare them regarding the level of impairment for the target audience. Here I will briefly present how the method worked, how we used it, and the research. So we had 5 possible response and options, from does not impair movement to total impediment of movement. And the linguistic labels were then combined with the numerical scale from 1 to 5. And after defining this, we did an average of the answers for each question. So the TR there is the total number of answers for each response option. And we multiply for this value from 1 to 5 for each response option. Then dividing for the total number of answers for each question. And with this average of answer for each question, we were able to get the final relative weight, applying the SMART technique. Where we have the answer for each question divided by the sum of all averages of answers in the questionnaire and multiply by 100%. So we get a relative weight that was from 0 to 100% proportional between all the responses, all the questions in the questionnaire. Going to the results then, from the background outline from the part of the research that is published in the ASSE journal, we could see that sidewalk assessment has been a recent study topic. Most of the papers, the 34 selected papers, were recent, but not much focus was given to the Global South. As we can see here in this map, that is a part of the paper. Brazil was highlighted here with quite a lot of publications, but besides Brazil, not any other country of the Latin America was included. No other country was included in Latin America. And we have a few countries in Asia, but most of the papers were published in United States, Canada, and around Europe. So as we were imagining, we were expecting developed countries still have receive a higher focus of study regarding sidewalk assessment, sidewalk evaluation. Regarding the elements most addressed, we could see the surface condition and effective width. So the 2 main addressed microscale attributes here were those 2. Most research, when addressing microscale attributes, focus on these 2, and sometimes also crossing, curb ramps, obstructions were also quite cited by a few papers here. But facilities like facilities for people with disability here, tactile pavement, which is a microscale feature directed to people with visual impairments, visual disabilities, do not receive so much focus on these researches. And finally, from the third question, we realized that from the 34 selected papers, most of them do not include people with disabilities. So only 8 of them included people with disabilities in the target public. And only half of those 8 include the perception of such people. So people with disability are not really widely considered in the research regarding sidewalk assessment. And when they are considered, also many times the perception of these people is not taken into account. So from here, we could get an important research gap, which supported the following research, the questionnaire, everything you develop following this part. From the questionnaire then, in the first part of the questionnaire, we first identify the profile, general profile. So we can see the most respondents were young, under 50, under 49 years of age. What can also be justified for the questionnaire being online, so we believe it was easier to reach this public, younger public. Regarding the types of disability, most of the respondents were people with physical disabilities, here more than half of them. And we had almost 30% of respondents with visual disabilities, almost 15 with hearing disabilities, and one respondent here, the 1.5%, that had both physical and visual disabilities. So with these percentages, we were able to reach amount that was approximated to the amount of people, the percentage of people in the city with physical, visual, and hearing disabilities is similar to the percentage that we could reach on the research. Regarding then the use of the sidewalks, we can see quite a relevant amount of the respondents said that they use the sidewalks every day in downtown Santa Maria, so almost 40%. And only 16.2% said that they use the sidewalks less than once a month. So we can see the downtown Santa Maria sidewalks and crosswalks are quite relevant for these people, for these respondents, as they use them quite a lot. Regarding the general accessibility of the sidewalk, so considering all features, all the sidewalk, crosswalk, built environment as a whole, as a unique part, most people here we can see a quite negative perception, where more than half of them here believe it's not accessible or only slightly accessible, most of the respondents. Regarding the independent use of the sidewalk, so here the questionnaire explained that by independent use of the sidewalk, it was to be able to move without needing help from someone else, without needing to get out of the sidewalk and into the traffic lane. This will be the definition of independent use of the sidewalk here for the research. And we can see not so negative perception this time. 25% said that they always use the sidewalk independently, although 25 is still not very high percentage, considering that everyone should be able to move through the sidewalks independently. Regarding how many times these people feel safe when using the sidewalks, we can again see quite negative perception. Most people said that they never feel safe, or only a few times they feel safe. Also regarding a comfortable use of the sidewalks, again, most people never feel comfortable or only a few times feel comfortable when using the sidewalks. And regarding the interference by sidewalk conditions, and by interference here also, again, the question explained, there was like any physical barrier, anything that interfered on the continual, safe, independent move throughout the sidewalks. So almost 30% always faced interferences on the sidewalks in the evaluated area, and almost 40% many times also are faced with interference. So also quite negative perception here. And going to the second part of the questionnaire, where we apply the SMART technique to get the relative weights. Here we have all the weights classified in percentage, getting to the total of 100%, and divided by type of disability. So I will briefly present the most significant ones here, as we could classify. For people with physical disabilities then, we could see the unevenness and tripping hazards, inadequate cross and running slopes, as well as any physical obstacles or absence of continuous pavement were the most relevant problems. For people with visual disabilities, the crack and irregularities appear here as quite relevant. And again, inadequacy of effective height and physical obstacles and interferences. For people with hearing disabilities, the absence of audible, visual, and luminous signaling was highlighted as one of the major problems here, as well as absence of pedestrian lining. So we can see for people with hearing disability, problems more related to orientation through the sidewalks and crosswalks would be more relevant. And we consider a general public, all three types of disability together. We could see again the cracking and irregularities, absence of tactile pavement, unevenness and tripping hazards, and physical obstacles and interference on the sidewalk. And here it's relevant to indicate that regarding tactile pavement, only the perception of people with visual disabilities were considered, since it's a micro-scale feature that is directed to these people. And the perception of people with visual disabilities was considerably worse than the other types of disability. So their perception, when we consider general public, usually the perception of people with visual disabilities come stronger to influence here in the general weights. And here, this is from the paper published Transportation Research Part D, where we did the physical evaluation of the sidewalks. So here, just to illustrate a bit of this reality of the sidewalk that these people were facing, we can see from a couple of streets here in the downtown Santa Maria, where we can see sidewalk physical interferences here. We can see absence of tactile pavement in most cases, cracking irregularities, pavements that are not continuous. So a lot of problems regarding accessibility in the sidewalks here. Following then the last part of the questionnaire addressing crosswalks, also we could classify with the SMART technique for each type of disability. And for people with physical disabilities here, the absence or inadequacy of curb ramps was a significant problem. Also the inadequate painting or surface condition of crosswalk and the absence of pedestrian signal. For people with visual disability, it was similar, the results were similar. We have, beside those two previously indicated, we have the absence of adequate audible signaling and pedestrian signals also being emphasized here as quite significant for people with visual disabilities. And again, for people with hearing disabilities, we again have a similar classification here regarding the most relevant problems. And we also have the absence of adequate push button and pedestrian signal being an important problem here for these individuals. And so when we consider general public, again, tactile pavement received strong weight, a key high weight, since perception of people with visual disability was quite more negative than the other respondents, as I mentioned. And the other problems already indicated here were mostly similar here for individual types of disability and for the general public. Again, we have a couple of photos from the crosswalks and curb ramps downtown Santa Maria from 5 different streets here. We can see, again, this is from the paper, the part of the research that was already published where we did the checklist, the evaluation checklist. And we can see absence of curb ramps in a couple of cases, or where there is curb ramp, there are usually inadequate. So they are not leveled with the traffic lane. They don't have, here they are also not leveled, or they don't have the adequate tactile pavement. So also the painting of the crosswalk is usually not adequate, not really visible. So also a couple of problems regarding crosswalks, just so we have an idea here of how is the reality at downtown Santa Maria. So summing up the main conclusions of the research, we were able to understand how accessibility conditions of sidewalks and crosswalks in the study area are perceived by people with different disabilities, so considering the 3 types of disability. And we could understand a little how is this level of negative impact to mobility that these people face, these people deal with when they are moving here in downtown Santa Maria. We were also able then to classify the different problems and obstacles regarding accessibility from the perspective of the people with different disabilities within the SMART technique and with the SMART technique and generating the relative weights So we were able to identify which were the main problems, which were the ones that need to be focused or need a priority regarding investments, regarding research, and can be more compromising here when we consider accessibility conditions in the city. And future studies here is a bit of what we already have been developing and are still developing and will still be publishing later. So we think as a relevant future study here is to aggregate the relative weights of the physical evaluation, the paper we have already published as well, for the sidewalks and crosswalks, and this way assess the pedestrian environment on the level of accessibility, combining the perception that we are presenting here at this paper with the physical evaluation. So it's a way to aggregate these weights. Another suggestion here, another research that we have been working on is how to include the subjectiveness and uncertainty of these evaluation methodologies that is inherent to this type of evaluation within the relative weights calculator. So here is where we are now bringing the fuzzy methodology here to address the subjectiveness, to have even more up-to-date research considering these uncertainties. So that is it for me. I would like to thank again for the opportunity. I would like to thank Professor Alejandro for working hard on this research with me and for being here today. And that's it.
Thank you, Ana Paula. I forgot to introduce Ana Paula and also Alejandro. I'm going to read now. Ana Paula Suarez Müller is a civil engineering and master in architecture, urbanism, and landscaping from the Federal University of Santa Maria, Brazil. She is member of the Mobility and Logistics Laboratory from the same university, which aims to capture and analyze the demands and potential in the area of urban and regional planning and development of logistics and mobility in the central region of Rio Grande do Sul. Her research is focused on walkability and accessibility of the built environment. She works as a professor at the Federal Institute of Rio Grandense in Passo Fundo, Brazil. And now I am going to introduce Alejandro. Alejandro es ingeniero en caminos, canales y puertos por la Universidad de Granada y doctor con mención internacional en ingeniería civil por la misma institución. Realizó estudios postdoctorales en el programa de posgrado en el Departamento de Ingeniería de Producción y Transportes de la Universidad Federal de Río Grande del Sur y en el Departamento de Ingeniería Civil de la Universidad de Granada, en España. Tiene experiencia en el sector privado, en la empresa FCC en España. También fue funcionario de la Junta de Andalucía en España, en la que ocupó el puesto de jefe del Servicio de Carreteras de Almería. Desde 2016 es profesor titular de la Universidad Federal de Santa María, en Brasil, donde fundó el Laboratorio de Movilidad y Logística, del que es coordinador. Actualmente forma parte del Departamento de Transportes del Centro de Tecnología de la misma universidad y del cuerpo docente del curso de Ingeniería Civil y del programa de posgrado en Ingeniería Ambiental. Es miembro de la Sociedad Panamericana de Investigación en Transporte y Logística, PANAM, SBTR, y es líder del Comité de Transporte Sostenible. Sus áreas de investigación abarcan los aspectos ambientales de los sistemas de transporte, ingeniería de tráfico, seguridad vial, perfiles de viaje, movilidad sostenible, con el apoyo de metodologías de decisión multicriterio, análisis multivariado de datos y modelación de percepciones mediante lógica difusa. Pues muchas gracias por esta presentación y ahora empezamos con las preguntas. Entonces vamos a ver los participantes si pueden alzar la mano o poner también una nota si quieren participar, por favor. ¿Sí? Vamos a un momento para ver los comentarios. Eh, pero bueno, antes y para empezar, pues hay muchas dudas, ¿no? Ahora están Alejandro y Ana Paula. Pues es a veces muy difícil hacer estos estudios, sobre todo en América Latina. No tenemos muchos de estos estudios, como ustedes lo mencionaban. Entonces, ¿por qué creen que no tenemos estos estudios en América Latina? Esa es una pregunta. Otra pregunta es, ¿ustedes hicieron estos estudios? ¿Dónde aplicaron los cuestionarios? ¿En la calle, en las casas de las personas? Porque entiendo que fue para la parte central de Santa María, ¿no? Pero no en las periferias. ¿Por qué? ¿Qué pueden comentar al respecto de estas dos preguntas para ir empezando? Les hago la palabra, por favor. Le- Voy a activar el audio de Alejandro porque creo que no lo podía activar.
Ah, ahora sí.
Ahora sí, perdón. Sí.
No sé si Ana Paula gustaría de responder. ¿Puedo responder, Ana Paula? Yo creo que Ana Paula tampoco está consiguiendo. Ah,
Agora
Ya
consigo.
pueden, ¿no? Ya pueden los dos, perdón, es que no les había activado. Después se desactivó
gracias.
uno y el otro. Ya los dos pueden hablar. Entonces, bueno, comenzamos con esas preguntas y después vamos viendo algunas preguntas del público.
Uh, um, I can try to answer, and then Alejandro can complement what I think it's necessary. So
Ok.
we chose downtown area because we think that we thought about focusing of some of the neighborhoods, but then with downtown area we're able to achieve more people, considering that it's the place of the city that most people frequent, and is like a connection between the neighborhoods of the city. So we'll reach more people, we believe, if we address the downtown area. And about how the questionnaire was applied, it was online only. So we, through the Instagram, Facebook, and those social networks, and also through the university email from the university. So also other institutions here in the city, other universities, we got some help from them to spread the link for the questionnaire, but it was mostly online, the application of the questionnaire.
Perfecto, Ana Paula. Solo para complementar lo que ella ya muy bien ha respondido, ¿no? Y una pregunta muy interesante de Angélica sobre por qué tan pocos trabajos en relación a este tema aquí en América Latina, ¿no? Ya sabemos que muchísimas veces las aceras están siendo descuidadas en nuestros países, ¿no? Tanto por el poder público como por la propia población. Y más incluso cuando ya nos encontramos que estamos pensando en una parcela muy pequeña de la población, como pueden ser esas personas con discapacidad. Entonces ellos además se convierten en una parte de la población que es todavía más invisible a los grandísimos problemas que nos encontramos de accesibilidad en las aceras. Lo que para una persona que no tiene una discapacidad puede ser simplemente una incomodidad o simplemente poder elegir otra ruta, para las personas con discapacidad realmente una barrera totalmente insalvable. Ellos no van a poder pasar simplemente por algunos de los problemas que Ana Paula destacó aquí en su trabajo. Y de ahí entonces que se quería poner ese foco en estos aspectos y sobre todo en esta población. Y claro, también por ser una población pequeña, de ahí la dificultad también de muchas veces de poder tener su opinión para llevarla en cuenta. En el trabajo que Ana Paula ha realizado como fruto de su maestría, ella ha encontrado precisamente que son pocos los trabajos, como bien ha explicado, que llevan en cuenta la percepción de estas personas con discapacidad, porque ya son pocos y encima son bastante invisibles, como estaba comentando antes, más difícil todavía poder captar su percepción, además de los posibles problemas ya que tienen incluso para poder responder este tipo de cuestionarios. Ana Paula también comentó que fue realizado online precisamente para poder conseguir una mayor amplitud y una mayor posibilidad de responderte. Pero sabemos que estas personas pueden ser incluso personas de edad, también pueden tener mayor dificultad de responder este tipo de cuestionarios, ¿no? Entonces, todo eso hace que se complique, pero más todavía la novedad de ese trabajo realizado por Ana Paula y del interés que realmente tiene para toda la población en general, porque todos podemos llegar a tener alguna discapacidad, algún problema de movilidad en algún momento y por tanto no deberíamos dejarlo pasar simplemente porque parecen que es una parcela de la población pequeña.
Y precisamente, pues todos vamos a ser adultos mayores tarde o temprano y vamos a tener dolor de rodilla o problemas mayores de la vista y vamos a necesitar infraestructura adecuada para nosotros, ¿no? No solo para personas discapacidades, sino para gran cantidad de personas que en el futuro va a haber que serán adultos, seremos adultos mayores, ¿no? Entonces,
Exacto.
sí, pues es muy relevante continuar con estos trabajos para entender qué es lo que se necesita. Y sobre el cuestionario que es en línea, pues sí puede estar un poco sesgado, ¿no? Porque, pues, quizás por eso la mayor cantidad de respuestas fueron de personas jóvenes, ¿no? Y una cosa que también uno se pregunta, ¿y fue en línea? Y entonces en línea, los ciegos, ¿cómo contestan?
Não sei se a Ana Paula consegue responder a isso, como as pessoas com deficiência visual conseguiram responder o questionário.
No sé, Ana Paula, ¿puedes hablar? Un momento. Se desactiva. Ok,
Yeah.
Agora.
ya, Ana Paula.
We also had a PDF version of the questionnaire. We could, from the Google Forms, people could access a link with a PDF version, so people with visual disabilities could use the screen reader to read the questionnaire and then translate the answers.
Es muy interesante así, ¿no? Sí, porque pues, también cuando se hacen preguntas así cara a cara en la calle, también dices, sí, bueno, ¿cómo les pregunto a los sordomudos, ¿no? ¿Cómo, cómo me hago entender que sí, que se necesita alguien que traduzca, ¿no? Sí,
And as Professor Alejandro was mentioning, we don't usually see many people with disabilities moving around dependently on the sidewalks. It's not so common. These people are quite invisible for the cities, on the city's environment, on downtown area. So also we thought that with the online format, we would be able to reach more people than we would be just, and then with otherwise, we would be just on the streets trying to meet someone. It would be harder to get a higher amount of respondents, we thought.
sí. Bueno, y si ustedes ya hicieron este trabajo, son pioneros en esta parte, al menos aquí en Latinoamérica. Entonces, ¿qué recomendaciones pueden hacer para que otros grupos hagan algo similar? ¿Con qué se enfrentaron que no esperaban? ¿Qué problemas que pues a lo mejor pensaban que no iba a pasar, pasaron y entonces sería una recomendación para aquellos que intenten hacer lo mismo para otras ciudades?
I think the major thing I can think now, the major thing is that it was quite hard to reach these people, even in the online format. We thought it would be a bit hard, but it was even harder than we expected. We didn't got a so big amount of respondents here. So I think maybe the process of spreading the questionnaire should be more diverse. We could try different places. I don't know, but maybe I think the questionnaire could be able to reach more people, a higher number of people. It was difficult for us to reach the expected amount of respondents.
Exactamente, Ana Paula. La verdad que como esas personas son pocos y, como estábamos diciendo, es más difícil, como ya estaba comentando, de poder acceder a ellos. Lo que nosotros estamos intentando en nuestro grupo, siguiendo esta línea de investigación que Ana Paula comenzó, es poder ir a donde ellos pueden ser más numerosos. Entonces, en relación, por ejemplo, con los hospitales, con las clínicas de fisioterapia, con aquellos lugares que ellos van a poder frecuentar más y, por tanto, abordarlo en ese sentido, porque además son personas que, como ellas son muy conscientes de esos problemas, son súper accesibles para poder responder este tipo de cuestionarios. Todos sabemos el problema que tenemos siempre cuando tenemos que conseguir respuestas de las personas porque no tienen tiempo, no tienen interés. Pero este colectivo en particular, como sufre tanto con estos problemas, está súper sensibilizado y ellos responden de una forma súper grata, muy accesible en ese caso. Entonces, si vamos a donde ellos más se encuentran, por ejemplo, el caso que estaba comentando de, por ejemplo, un hospital, una clínica de fisioterapia, las tiendas que venden productos precisamente para personas con discapacidad, las asociaciones que ya reúnen ese tipo de colectivos, ahí siempre vamos a encontrar todo el apoyo y, por tanto, conseguir mayor número de respuestas. Incluso con la interacción con estas personas, ayuda a que ese cuestionario y la propia investigación sea más robusta, porque nosotros quizás que no tenemos ningún tipo de discapacidad ahora, quizás se nos pase por alto algún aspecto que para nosotros no parezca importante, pero para ellos es crítico. Entonces, nosotros recomendamos precisamente que se tenga ese contacto previo con las personas, que se hable con ellos para poder hacer ese levantamiento de aspectos, no solo lo que viene en la literatura, que obviamente es importantísimo, pero como es tan escaso, es posible que algunos trabajos no lo lleven todo en cuenta y entonces poder incluirlo y ya incorporarlo en ese tipo de investigaciones. Y además, Ana Paula, como ella ha dicho, no solo capturar esa opinión, como también la propia auditoría de los espacios, o sea, ver in situ cuáles son esos problemas, incluso con paseos acompañados, ¿no? Con ese tipo de discapacidad. Ana Paula también desarrolló eso durante su trabajo de maestría. Y eso, lo puedo aquí decir a todo el mundo que nos está oyendo, es súper enriquecedor también para las personas como nosotros que no tenemos ninguna discapacidad, porque nos damos cuenta de tantos problemas que existen en el día a día y de todos los desafíos que tienen que enfrentar para cosas tan fáciles como nosotros, en este caso no tenemos ningún problema, no lo encontramos y para esas personas realmente es muy importante. Entonces, toda esa aproximación, Angélica, yo pienso que es súper importante y enriquecedora para todas las partes y también para poder compartir, como en este evento y a través del Congreso y las revistas, con toda la comunidad internacional.
No, pues qué bueno que nos den esas recomendaciones, que hay que hacer alianzas con aquellos que tratan de cerca a estas personas y dónde van estas personas para entender mejor cuál es el problema y entonces poder hacer algo, ¿no? Bueno, y al respecto, aquí hay algunas preguntas en el chat. Por ejemplo, este es de Víctor Santillo. Considering the results of the research, what policy recommendation do you propose? What action do you suggest the authorities in charge of pedestrian walkways should take? ¿Quién quiere contestar? Ana Paula?
I think it's quite common in Brazil that the sidewalks are, besides being a public space, the responsibility for the sidewalk is private, is within the owner of each lot. So there is this conflict where sidewalks are private space with public use and should be public responsibility as well, I would say. So I think more fiscalization will be the major recommendation. So minimum sidewalk accessible requirements could be complied, could be minimum adequate regarding accessibility conditions. Because as the owners of each lot is the one responsible, so these people should be aware of how sidewalks conditions should be and maintain them at a minimum adequate and accessible level.
No, thank you. Thank you. And another question. How frequent are disabled pedestrian hits in Santa Maria? Are they attributable to the sidewalks conditions?
hit by cars, by
It's,
accidents?
I think accidents. I don't know.
Yes, I would say it's directly related. Like, I have my best friend is a wheelchair user, so she was one of my inspirations for all my research. And when I am walking with her, we have always some sidewalk segments where she has to move through the traffic lane since the sidewalk is not accessible. Since I haven't really highlighted the relevance of continuity on the sidewalk, but a single obstacle, a single cracking, sometimes in a whole segment, can obligate her to go out of the sidewalk and move within in the middle of the cars on the traffic lane. So I would say it's probably quite significant for the pedestrian heat and level of accidents regarding pedestrians with disabilities.
Thank you, Ana Paula. Thank you, Alejandro. And it's a great work, and congratulations. And now the next work